We're talking about, there she is. We're talking about, motherhood in Ramadan. So Ramadan is coming up for us moms who feel like it's a struggle with little ones, big ones, busy schedules. Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. There you are.
That made it work. This has happened a couple of times, so I knew like we just have to switch profiles. So I'm glad that we made it work. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. How are you doing?
Not good. I came to my mother-in-law's place instead to come into the live. So yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. How are you doing?
I'm good. I can't complain. Alhamdulillah. I'm glad to be back with everyone.
Yeah. So we are finally live. We have quite a few people on, so we can probably start. So we're going to I don't know if I can pin the comment. I don't think I can because it's your live. Maybe you can pin a comment to write how what is the title of the live? How we can make the most of Ramadan as mothers.
Okay, I'll add that.
So I'll introduce myself since this is your profile and not mine. So my name is Afra. I wish I was in UK right now, but I'm not in UK right now because I'm sure a lot of people on are from UK. I am based in California in the US. I'm a mom of 3. And I met lovely Sumayah through Instagram. I'm so glad I got to meet her, alhamdulillah. Funny enough, my sister and her are friends too. So that just, made it all the better. But yeah, I'm also a doula, and I just blog about motherhood, pregnancy, birth, postpartum, all that stuff. And basically all the real stuff that we mothers have to go through, or go through rather. So today I wanted to talk about I get a lot of questions about Ramadan and moms making the most of Ramadan, and we got quite a few questions when I posted that, like, what are your struggles for Ramadan? And so I just felt like you would be the perfect person to help us figure out how we can make the most of Ramadan spiritually, because as moms with kids, it's not the same as it was before kids. So just trying to make the most of it and feel it, and not feeling like overwhelmed with the things that we can't do, but do that help us make do the best we can.
Inshallah. Yeah, it's my struggle too, so that's fair. I'm with you on this.
Yeah, I think a lot of us struggle with that. Close the door, Mama. Close the door. Close the door. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Can you close the door? My door.
Mine will probably come too. It's okay.
Close the door. Yeah, you can ask Jeddah. Go ask Jeddah if you can watch TV. All right. It's probably the only way to keep. Yeah, I have a phone call. They get excited every time I'm on a live, or if I have a call or something. They get so excited. Mama, do you have a phone call today? Because that means we get to watch TV. So.
Yep, it's a pass. They need to be bribed. They know.
Exactly, they know. So she just went, since you're on a phone call, can I ask Jeddah if I can watch TV?
Like, yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Go. Okay. Yeah, so Sumayah, why don't you tell us, for those who are joining maybe from my profile, tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Sumayah Hassan, and I run a project called Recite and Reflect, where I basically teach online workshops and sometimes live ones, and I teach about Quranic reflection to women specifically, and that's how we can connect with the Quran in our day-to-day lives in a real sense, and how we learn to read the Quran in a way that it feels like it's for us personally.
Yeah.
I'm a mom of four, alhamdulillah, and I'm from the US and I live in London and I have been here for the last 10 years. But yeah, that's really it.
Alhamdulillah. I would love to come to UK, and I'm sure you'd love to be here. It's like the opposite.
Come. California is lovely. You have a party every day. Like that's,
Honestly, the weather
California.
is it. I love this place, but I have a love-hate relationship with how expensive it is. It's just ridiculously expensive. But um,
Yeah.
we're paying for the weather, I guess. That's what everyone's we pay for this weather.
Yep.
Yeah. So for today, I guess let's see how we can address like everyone's questions about like Ramadan and making the most of it. I mean, what was the first thing that we should start with in terms of, making the most of Ramadan as moms?
Hmm. I think realistic expectations. Just like you mentioned before, there's the contrast between before we had kids and we used to be able to do everything. We had time to kill at that time.
Hmm.
We used to go to
Yeah.
Taraweeh and hang around, and we had all this extra. We could choose to go or not to go. We didn't feel like going sometimes as teenagers, but now, obviously, if you have young children, you're not going to see the inside of the mosque. I mean, taking them is such a challenge, at least for me. I know there are some moms who do take their
I
kids
do.
with them in the middle of the night. Like, I'm like, this is gonna ruin bedtime. For me, it's just I can forget it. Like, I don't drive here, so it's like it's just not. Yeah, it's not happening for me.
For UK as well, it is much later though. I mean that's like
Yeah.
just it makes it impossible. So I can totally understand why you wouldn't want to because here it is around 9:30.
Mhm.
So it's still kind of doable. But if the kids, for example, my son last year was not in morning. He was in school in the morning, so it was just not possible. I was like, I'm not going to deal with trying to wake him up early uh,
Mhm.
when he's already tired if we come home at 11. But this year he is going to be at school at 11, so in the morning. So it's okay. I feel like if we do have a delay in bedtime, we should be okay
Mhm.
for fun. But only because of that. Otherwise, if I had that early school routine, it would be really hard. I'd probably just rely on the weekends to take them.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that expectation is definitely something that we have to reduce. Like it took me a few Ramadans to kind of like accept like I think last Ramadan was when I was like, okay, I can't take the kids. I'm just going to stay at home. And I just went alone when I could if I got a chance. So I barely
Yeah.
went for maybe 3, 4 times. Last Ramadan was the first Ramadan and probably the least amount of times I for Ramadan in my life. So yeah, uh, yeah,
Yeah, I kind of gave up early on that like, it's too much anxiety for me if my kid is going to cry or wake up or need me in the middle of Salah and I just can't concentrate and it's too full on. Like I'm better off for me personally putting them to bed and just, having the peace and quiet to do what I want to do with,
yeah,
at home. So that's kind of the road that I take. But generally, really, with everything, not just the salah, with your recitation of Quran, whatever objectives you have, like how you imagine the ideal Ramadan should look, all of those things you may have to change the specifics. You may have to change the form of how they look. It may have been finishing the entire Quran and fasting all, most of the days. And, it's just this perfect outcome. But then realistically speaking, during the day with the night hours and kids waking up early and your patience running out and being hungry and all of these things happening throughout the day, you have to be fair to yourself. Putting on that additional pressure doesn't help. It doesn't
yeah,
help.
yeah. So number one is setting that expectation, and uh, having the reducing the high expectations of yourself, and so that you're not disappointed in Ramadan if things don't go the way you hope that they would go.
Yeah, and not necessarily reducing, just changing, like changing them to something that's doable for you. Yeah, it doesn't have to be less, it can just be different.
Yeah, 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 true. Walaikum salam, Hafsa. Um, so yeah, a lot of the questions was like, you know, keeping like Quran, like one of the biggest, most of the questions I had was how to focus on salah, you know, or getting any additional salah in during Ramadan. This is, I guess, assuming if you're staying at home and not able to go for Tarawih and get that extra salah in. And also just, you know, yeah, just keeping up with extra ibadah. So what are your, you know, thoughts or recommendations on that?
When it comes to the prayers, I mean, as it stands right now outside of Ramadan, you already have a baseline of where you are. So if it's the 5 daily prayers, or if you're used to praying your like 12 sunnah prayers, for example, these are things that you can kind of knock out and it's not extra. It doesn't feel like it's hard for you.
Yeah.
I think we kind of get disappointed when we try to make a huge leap in Ramadan. So I'm going to do, you know, the 5 daily and the 12 and the extras and the qiyam, and then it just becomes overwhelming. You know, you could last the first couple of days and
Yeah.
then
And
you
then it
start
kind
to
of just
fall
what
off.
normally happens in Ramadan. Yeah. Yeah. The
So
first week,
maybe,
like on a big high, and then like it kind of just gradually, and then it kind of picks up the last 10 days
yeah,
or like,
yeah, there's
or
a
like
dip in the
even,
middle
yeah, yeah, yeah. Or people just leave it to the 27th and then everyone kind of wakes up. And
that
then,
day.
yeah, yeah, that night.
But I think also, yeah, just not being realistic. Like if you were to just take the next week as an example and say like from Monday to Friday, I'm going to pray all of my sunan and I'm going to pray qiyam every single night, just 2 rakahs. If you just try to push yourself out of the blue, you'll see the impact it has. Like mentally, your sleep, spiritually, in every way, your body wants to resist because you're just putting on something like all of a sudden. It's not realistic
Yeah,
again. So the gradualism, I think, because during the day as a mom, obviously sometimes praying just your 5 daily prayers, you know, if the kids are a riot or they're like fighting, or, you know, it could be anything happening and you're so distracted and you're just
yeah,
trying to get your salah in on time. You're
yeah,
trying to be like partially present at best, you know, and
yeah. Yeah, that
it's
for sure is
so
really hard.
hard.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so maybe working around the time that they're up. So think about the night prayer, think about qiyam. If you're not praying Taraweeh at the masjid, if you put your kids to bed, for example, and you get in some quiet time, reciting Quran or praying at night, or if you're able to have time after Fajr before everyone is up, and that's the time where you feel like you can really be devoted and focused, and so you invest in those times where you can really be present versus like scraping during the day when you know things are going to be sparse.
yeah,
So kind
yeah.
of invest where you know you can really get the rewards out of it and be there for it.
So really just planning, right? You like trying to plan ahead and trying to figure out what is going to work for you based on, you know, your routine and your schedule. And if things change a bit in Ramadan, then working through that, right?
Yeah, exactly. And also not being rigid. Like if you plan to do something and on the day things are not working out, just be flexible. So,
Yeah,
you know, it's not the end of the world, but you have mentally, just like you said, you know that there's going to be a slot in the evening, so I'll try and make up for it then.
yeah, yeah, because things happen, mom life, right?
And it's stressful if you're feeling like, oh my God, I'm missing the, you know, I'm supposed to read, you know, 5 pages after Dhuhr and 5 after Asr, and I haven't done my
Yeah,
5 and now 10, and you're stressing. It's not good. You're gonna be snapping at your kids. You're gonna feel it takes the spiritual heart out of it. So trying
yeah,
to just relax and know that inshallah you'll get
yeah,
it. You'll get the
yeah,
time.
yeah. Yeah, and you said something there too, like with your kids. Like, so for example, I mean, if I mean this just a thought, an idea just came in my head. Like if you're having a rough day with your kids, for example, or they're just not, you're not able to focus on ibadah at the time when they're around, maybe you can make like an activity out of it with them, or doing something with them, that could it would be in a form of ibadah, and you're getting the reward for, you know, doing something with them. So that activity itself could be, you know, something that you're rewarded for. So yeah.
It is, and there's
And
so much out there for kids, like Ramadan
yeah,
packs and printables and
yeah,
lots that you can do with them, and maybe they'll be occupied and you can
yeah,
read.
yeah, yeah, sure. Um, there was something you said, and I'm gonna, it'll come back to me, inshallah. Um,
Inshallah.
in terms of Quran, um, you know, I mean, you're a mom of four, and you've obviously gone through the whole phase of, you know, probably reading the full Quran, you know, or whatever you would read before before you had kids, and then after kids or during kids. What has been your like experience, and what are your suggestions for moms? Because this is always like, you know, like you said, everyone wants to try and read the full Quran, and you know, I've given up that expectation of myself because I would have that expectation and then I would start. And then
Yeah.
by a few days, if I hadn't got to like a lot of pages, then I kind of just, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do it anyway. So I'll just do a few pages here and there. And that's just, you know, I really hate that because it's been really disappointing every Ramadan when I reach to the end and I'm like, I barely got much done. So
Mhm.
what would be your suggestion there? Like, how can we make the most of, you know, reading Quran, whether it is a few pages or whether it is focusing on, you know, maybe certain aspects like tafsir, or maybe even just focusing on one surah the whole of Ramadan and like really like getting down to like the meaning and everything to kind of, you know, make the most of that. Yeah.
I think what you're saying is on point in the sense that there's many angles that you can come at it from. So the focus has always been on the khatm, and that is to read the Quran in the Arabic language from cover to cover. And the way you do that is by reading a juz a day, which is 20 pages every day. So for a person who's not a quick reader, who's not a smooth reader, getting through 20 pages is a task in Arabic. You know, if you're not strong. And what you'll find is that in the beginning, which is Juz Amma and Juz Tabarak, we know those, so we can sail through them, which are read at the end of Ramadan. And we
Yeah.
know we're familiar with Al-Baqarah on the other side because that's the very beginning. You may have read it over many times.
Yeah.
But once you get into the middle, it's like you struggle at that
Yeah.
point and you can fall off.
Hmm.
I think that what you said about focusing on meaning,
Yeah.
you know, obviously Quranic reflection is, you know, what I teach, and it is giving us the chance to look at the meaning of the Quran. And I think that when I turn to, so that may look more like reading the translation cover to cover, listening to the Quran in Arabic, for example. You know, that way you're getting the exposure like you would get from Taraweeh Salah. So you're hearing the whole Quran in the month of Ramadan and you're actually reading the meaning. Some of us have never read the meaning of the
Okay.
entire
Yeah.
Quran
Yeah. Yeah.
or the tafsir of certain surahs if you've read the meaning before, then learning what the scholarly commentary says and what the surah is about. And it is a more intimate look. And you'll find things like Qalam Institute or Bayina where they'll do an in-depth study of one surah for the entire month. So they'll say this month we're going to cover Surah Maryam or we're going to cover Surah Al-Kahf. And to follow, you know, a beneficial series on the Quran really helps. I think just to move away from the pressure to complete the Quran in Arabic from cover to cover and
Yeah.
to find a way that it builds a personal connection, like you said. So if you were to pick a surah that's meaningful for you and to study that surah in depth and you come out of Ramadan, at least you have something. You have
Yeah.
something that you've
Yeah.
done, you know, to
Yeah.
complete it.
Yeah, that's true. And like, is there, this might be sound like a really naive dumb question, but is there, are there like good surahs that we should be focusing on in Ramadan that could build a deeper connection that you can recommend that maybe we can write down and start?
I think maybe the surahs that we're familiar with, so the ones that we go through a lot, I think it would be a good investment to spend the time with them. So like Al-Kahf, we read every Friday, if you're used to doing that, or Surah Al-Mulk, Tabarak Alladhi, the one you read at night before you go to sleep. These surahs that we frequent, getting to know them quite well and understand the background, I think is beneficial. And of
Yeah.
course, Juz Amma, which what we pray with and use for
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
It would be good to know, you know. So, and you know, you could set a goal to do the whole juz, but you may not finish it. But at
Yeah.
least you'll have gotten, you know, halfway, 2/3 of the way through the juz. An in-depth study with focus.
Okay.
That's a good outcome.
Yes, yeah, yeah. I today I actually was listening to I don't even know the name, Discover You. I think it's
Muhammad
Discover,
al-Sharif. Is it?
yes, his organization, yeah. So they did a webinar with Yasmin Mujahid, and she talked about like Ramadan and similar to what we're talking about today. And one of the big things that she mentioned was before Ramadan to start to do the smaller things, and to focus, like for example, focus on the meaning, and to learn like just the surahs that we're going to be reading every single day on in our salah. So Surah Al-Fatiha, and then all the smaller, like you said, the surahs in Juz Amma, to understand their meaning, and to so that when we're reading them in Ramadan, we have a better connection and a better understanding, and we will have more khushu' that way. So I found that really profound. Like it's just the basics. Like we are looking to read the whole Quran, but then there's just those few surahs that we're reading every single day that we probably don't even understand properly. We know how to recite them very well, but we don't know the meaning and the tafsir and all that behind it. So that would be like a good way to read that. Yeah. Yes, it seems like a few people have caught that webinar. So yeah, it was really good. Inshallah, I recorded it on my phone. Like I did a screen record so that I could listen to it later. I don't know if there's a replay, and I want to go back and listen to it because I was trying to get ready and stuff. So I didn't hear the whole thing. I caught bits of it, but I hope to like try and get a recap and maybe do a post on that. So yeah, that's a good thank you. That's a good suggestion for reading the Quran, because that's always a big question. Sorry, I'm going back on my laptop to get those questions.
No problem.
What other people? There was other spiritual ways that you can feel connected to Ramadan other than fasting, because some people might not be fasting. They might be breastfeeding, or pregnant, or about to have a baby, or just had a baby. So what are the ways that they can stay connected spiritually? I mean, we have already talked about reading Quran, but like just for example, if they can't do that and maybe they can't pray, yeah, which is a good point actually, because if you've just had a baby, you probably can't pray the whole of Ramadan. So what are other ways that we can connect to Ramadan spiritually?
Excellent. As Mama teaches me said, so dhikr, and this is remembrance of Allah, saying Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar. And these are things that obviously we do, or we're supposed to do outside of Ramadan in the normal sense.
Yeah.
But we have the added bonus benefit that rewards are multiplied in Ramadan. And, we also have the feeling that the time is passing quickly and we really want to kind of milk it and get in as much as we can. And dhikr is definitely a way to do that. You can occupy your tongue with beneficial, saying something that's good, outside of reciting Quran or outside of praying, remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this can be done in the thousands, while you're doing a task, while you're working on something. And you should probably set an amount of time. So say I'm just going to focus for 5 minutes and just say my subhanallahs, the things that are attached to your morning and evening adhkar, and obviously keeping up with your morning and evening remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Adhkar and dhikr are important. I think beside that you have charity. So many opportunities for sadaqah in Ramadan, sending the water and the dates, sending a meal over to a friend's place, especially if you're not fasting, getting the reward of helping others or having them break their fast. Buying chairs for the masjid, putting Qur'ans in prayer rooms. There are tons of opportunities for things to do. And I think these kind of small things that don't look that glamorous, but they really do count. The dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you aren't reading the Qur'an, listen to it. Expose yourself to it, have it on and around you. After that, I think beneficial reminders. So I know that depending on where you live in the world, there are all sorts of things that come out in Ramadan, television shows and series. And so, commit to something that is beneficial and maybe do it like start to finish. I'll usually follow like Mufti Mank, or, someone has a series now to it. Yeah, one episode. Half an hour while I'm breaking my fast or whatever. And that's it.
So, what's his name? Sheikh Omar Suleiman. He does prayers of the pious. I don't know if I'm gonna do a new one this year, but last Ramadan that was amazing, and I'll probably listen to that prior to Ramadan and during, like that was the most beautiful series actually last from all the
It
Ramadans that
was.
they have
It
a
was
book as
very,
well.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
they have the book out by Q Publishing, mashallah. It's a lovely little book, and it has
It's
the
only available in the UK.
yeah, it's not available in the US, I think, until somebody said September.
Yeah, yeah,
All right,
sadly.
guys.
Yeah. Yeah, but if you're looking, someone's asking, you can check if you're in the UK, you can get it. I think it's like £9 or something like that. But I looked
Yep.
into it because it's like nine. No, sorry, it was £12 or something, and then it was like about £10 to ship it to the US, and I was like, "There's no way." Like it's all, more than the cost of the book. So I was like, you know what? It'll give me a chance to just listen, and maybe I'll just go through each. My sister actually, Iman, what she did last year was she listened to each day, and she actually wrote it down. She said it
Yeah.
helped her writing it down. So she wrote down each dua and each lesson from each day, and it kind of helped her. So she has a whole book that she actually wrote down, but she went ahead and
That's
followed.
their own.
Yeah,
Mashallah.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it was
that's
a lovely series to go through. Very thought-provoking and deep, and it was something refreshing and new. A lot of these like adaya I've never heard before, or the stories behind them, and it's neatly packaged and easy to
yeah,
digest. So it was really
yeah.
nice.
It was really beautiful. Yeah, yeah, mashallah. Yeah, so that's one way. Like, so there's different shuyukh that we could follow that do a daily reflection every day. So yeah, and it's mostly recorded on YouTube. Some of them have it on their website or Facebook. A lot of them do like I think at night after Tarawih they do a reflection, and they sometimes
Hmm.
do a specific surah. So again, that would be broadcast live on Facebook, so we could catch that. So, and I feel like since there's so many, maybe it's best for us to focus on one, maybe, right, rather than trying to listen to so many. Because I remember once last year I ended up just focusing on prayers of the pious and followed that every day because there was just so many. If I was trying to listen to Mufti Mank and everything, like it was just too much and I would forget, or so maybe we have a goal in mind and then we say, okay, I'm going to follow this one every day, and then if you can listen to something else maybe in the car, or yeah, you can do that, I guess. Who is it by? What book?
The book,
About Prayers of the Pious by Sheikh Omar Suleiman.
yeah, and it's published by Q Publishing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's available in the UK. So that was about spiritual, staying in the spirit of Ramadan. Um, what else were the other questions? I'm just checking. Oh yeah, patience. A lot of questions about being patient, if you're fasting and you have kids, being tired, um, just basically maintaining your sanity. I am terrified. I'm so terrified this because I don't do well when I don't eat, and
Yeah.
I'm going to try and fast a few days before Ramadan, just to make up a few days, and also to just get into that, that habit of fasting, because I don't do well. My first Ramadan fasting after 5 years. So, what what is your recommendation with that, like in terms of patience and just controlling our anger and just maintaining our sanity, really?
I'm like, Allah is watching me, right? I can't pretend when
Right? Right? Okay, I just yelled at the kids. Okay, my fast is broken. Like, what's the point?
No, to try your best. No, try your best and be kind. It's a challenge. Like this year, for me, I was fasting in the previous ones, but this time, inshallah, I won't be. And so for me, it's the other side of it. I think that in the beginning I really struggled because obviously my body's adjusting to the fasting. Then after a while, it becomes kind of your body gets into the routine and it's a lot easier. But really take it easy. Like don't add additional things to yourself. Like for the homeschooling, for example, like I plan on cutting it down to, the Quran and like keeping them with the strict basics. I'm not going to overextend myself. I just have to be fair to myself that if I'm setting myself up for stress, it's going to be too hard to manage. It's just, and the days are very long, and it's just, they're eating obviously, and I have to do all the things that I would normally do with the kids,
Okay. Yeah.
and except I'm in a different situation. So I think just to be fair to yourself and take it easy, and not put yourself up to impossible standards. Again, the idea that you should never get frustrated and never, you're trying your best. You're
Yeah.
trying your best. So it's not, yeah, it's not to be superhuman. A lot of people don't have help. They've got their kids on their own. They've got managing the household, taking care of the meals, maybe even having guests over. For us, it's so late that the iftars are like not
Yeah.
happening because it's so late at night. But it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, the guilt, exactly. The mom guilt is there. So, but really just to be fair, and it takes away from your ability to concentrate on getting any ibadah done. If you're in a
Yeah.
funk about not feeling like you're enough as a mom, you're just
Yeah.
dragging yourself right down.
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
no real benefit in that, but just trying your best. I mean, on a good day, we also get frustrated and tired and snap.
Yeah.
Like, so
Yeah.
be fair,
And I think that
feel bad after we put them to sleep. Like, oh, my
yeah.
babies.
Yeah, I had one of those days yesterday, and then I went in the room when they slept, and I felt so bad. I was like, "Oh my God, I'm such a bad mom."
No, you're not. Just, we're trying our best, and we try to make up for it in other moments, and we try to invest in them and show them, that we're doing our best, and that, we get frustrated too. So
Yeah.
I think in Ramadan, it's higher. The challenge is more, but inshallah, it's doable. It's
Yes.
doable.
Yeah. Yeah. Someone had a comment there about I had a very brief chat with my kids today. I basically said I won't be getting up at suhoor to doing a cook up. You're a big now.
It's also difficult for some families to move away from the food aspect of Ramadan as much as we can
Yeah.
say sometimes.
Yeah, that's another big yeah, for some moms. When the expectation is so high and they have to cook, especially like at suhoor. I still don't understand that culture. I don't have that culture, alhamdulillah. We just eat very simply. But yeah, that culture of like eating, having a lot is just, the other thing I think I'd just like to add is if you're breastfeeding and fasting, or even if you're not breastfeeding and fasting, as a mom, you still need like to eat well and eat the right foods, because I feel like when you're really hungry, that's obviously going to aggravate any type of, losing our temper, or just whatever in that sense. So I have a blog post that I'm going to update, but I have it has some really good suggestions on food moms can eat when they're breastfeeding, and I think I'm going to apply it to myself now, even though I'm not breastfeeding. It's just you need the same nutrients, I think. You just don't need to eat extra, but you need to eat enough and the good stuff. So I think that's also a good suggestion to have, because a lot of people eat the wrong foods and then they're still hungry, or they just don't feel good. They feel overly tired, maybe lethargic and stuff like that. So I'm sure that can contribute to just feeling, that funk. So yeah.
Inshallah. Yeah, I look for that, inshallah.
um. Yeah, I think that we've covered a lot of the questions. Um, are there any other maybe dua? Maybe we can cover that, like about
Yes,
dua.
dua. Making dua lists. So I think you should have a little book, and you should every Ramadan add to it as you go ahead. And subhanAllah, you'll be able to look back at the last Ramadan. So in the same little booklet, and I have the little tiny ones, and I'll see the du'as that have already Allah Azza wa Jal answered, or it's something that's come to pass, or I'm not asking for it anymore. And you can kind of see the evolution of your dua over time.
Yeah.
And to create your dua lists, you basically have a list for yourself personally, and that's, your life in this world, your akhirah, any aspect that you want, your education, your career, your personal du'as for you. And then you have the ones for your family and your children, and you have the ones for the ummah at large. So you can have, it's like an unlimited wish list of things to ask Allah
Yeah.
subhanahu wa ta'ala for, and Ramadan is the time. Ramadan is the time for du'as. You should be getting them in every chance.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can, especially when du'as are accepted in the middle of the night for the breastfeeding moms who are waking up. Get your diet list up on your phone, while you're feeding baby with one eye, go through the
Yeah.
list.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Get
Um,
asked those things, so
yeah.
diet, really think through the things that you're asking for and what you want. It's very important. And, subhanAllah, it said that from a Ramadan to the next Ramadan, you'll see that many of your du'as may have already cleared within the year. So think about the type of things you're asking for, in the way that we plan for our new year, and we put our goals, and, du'a is in line with that. And before breaking your fast is critical, because for those who are fasting, when you break your fast, it's a guaranteed accepted du'a. So, our teachers advise us 15 minutes before iftar time, have your table set and everything ready, and just kind of disappear into a secluded area and get out your list, and with concentration ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for what you want. Because if you could imagine that dua is a sure yes, then you have, the days that you're fasting, those 30 days, 21 days, to ask for something and for it to be a sure thing. Think about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So books, guys, get your books and start writing your dua lists.
Make your
Um,
lists. Yeah.
yeah, and ask for anything and everything that you want. Don't be shy. I tend to have this, like, I think yeah, today as well, on that, in that webinar, one of the things she said was we tend to get shy, like, oh, we asked for this and we asked for that, and it's too much. We can't ask for all these things, but no, we can ask for everything. Um,
And
um,
yeah, ask for every little thing for your children, their future, yourself, to preserve your family, your parents, your siblings, the ummah at large, the people who are facing difficulties in wars, people who are displaced, the things that you want for your own career, for your own education, your own betterment, your finances, your home, anything, your marriage,
yeah,
anything and everything,
yeah,
put it all there. Put it
yeah,
all there.
yeah, yeah, inshallah. And I was just going to question. Someone is asking, suggest foods to eat. Yeah, if you would like to DM me, I can send you, there's a link I have to a blog post I wrote that has, recommendations for different good nutritious foods for a Ramadan. And I actually will be doing a live with a sister Nazima from Canada on nutrition and fasting at the end of my lives. I think one of my last lives before Ramadan will be that one. So you can catch that, but I can send you the blog post as well. And I did a live with her last year. It has a video. Another question she had was, how do you encourage the children to fast, the young ones, for half a day, kind of a thing? I've never experienced that. I know that I fasted as a, I think 7, 8, 9 year old. I was fasting in Dubai, but things were much easier there. School was half day, and so do you have any recommendations for her?
My kids are quite young. My eldest is going to be 8, so they're still, I mean, I do experience that they say we want to, but one meal, I think kids kind of want to do what they see you doing. They want to get involved, especially because iftar time seems special and there's special food, or so they feel like they want to be part of it and they want to be doing it too. I
Yeah,
think being young, I don't know if I ever wanted to, but as a kid, but I think they tend to kind of have that where they want to, maybe a special treat after or something to look forward to, and that they get the opportunity to say the du'as with you and be a part of what everyone else is doing with their dad and their mom. And
yeah.
yeah, they're going to be part of it.
Yeah, a friend of mine actually told, I think I remember her saying that last Ramadan, one or two nights, I think on a weekend or something, her kids decided to wake up with them, like maybe once or twice for suhoor, and they all had a little meal. And I've heard of friends also allowing their kids to fast maybe half a day, and then they break it at midday, or they start at midday, maybe after school or something, and then fast through, basically fasting a few hours, and they kind of get that practice in or reward if they're younger. So it just I guess it's like you said, it makes them feel like they're a part of something and that you're doing. So I think that's nice. um good habit too to make in du'as. When I look at the sunnah du'as, I think I barely think of these things. Yeah, yeah. That was one of the other things actually that Sister Yasmin said, like just our daily du'as, just the things that we're supposed to say when we wake up, when we sleep, when we pray after prayer, when we leave the house, when we enter the house, before eating, all those basic du'as, to try from now and try to like get into the routine of saying them, get into the routine of just knowing what they mean without just just saying them, because a lot of us will say, like, I know for me personally, I just say some and I don't really know the actual meaning. I might have read it once or twice, but it's not stuck in my head. When I say it, I don't really know what I'm saying. Especially for those of us whose Arabic is not fluent and we don't understand. So that's another recommendation, I guess, in prep for Ramadan, to get our basics down, just like we would our surahs. Yeah, someone said let them fast half a day. Yeah. So yeah, I think that was all the questions really. Doing anything but the basics, praying Tarawih in peace because the kids area is so loud. Oh, that's some yeah, that's that's a struggle. Like I still go for Tarawih sometimes, and we used to live in the city I'm in actually right now, where my mother-in-law lives, where my husband would work at the masjid, and they had a kids club. So we'd leave the kids, but we could still hear them because it was so loud. But I'd still go and try to get Salah in, Tarawih in. For me personally, I felt like a part of my Ramadan was made if I would do that. So for me, it felt good to be able to do that. But for each person, like, some people, just like you said, it gives you anxiety. So just even doing that, like, there's no point. You're praying, but you're thinking, like, where's that kid? Where did he run? Is he at the door? Is he what is he touching?
Yeah.
So it really depends, I guess, on from person to person and seeing what is important to you. If you feel like going to the masjid is just going to give you anxiety and going to make it worse for you, then don't. Or if you go to the masjid and maybe you have a friend and you guys can split. One friend watches the kids and then you pray for, then you switch, and then they pray for, and you do it. So you could do it that way. Switch with friends, alternate with your husbands, go the day that they're going, so I guess it just varies from person to person, what facilities are available at the masjid, and then also your personal situation. So just you do what's best for you.
For you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, reciting the Quran is beneficial, obviously. The multiplied rewards for reciting every letter, every ayah, getting in as much as you can, but obviously not to put on the pressure. And for those who are memorizing, as you said, mashallah, if you have the capacity to memorize, yes, go for it, But for many, like for me personally, right now, memorization is not on the table for me. It's on hold. So, don't be afraid to say, this is what's best for me right now, and it's something I can come back to, inshallah, if I'm given life. It doesn't mean I've given up on it. It just means that right now there's other things that have to take the priority. And so I can come back to it, inshallah. And there are many ways to connect. And it's not to say that one is wrong and one is right. But if you have the capacity, go for it. Go for it.
Yeah. There's someone saying here, I think Hafsa just said she takes a coloring book. Yeah, so there's a lot of things that you can take for the kids to the masjid. So coloring books, little toys, if they allow snacks in a corner, snacks that obviously won't make a mess, just anything that will keep them, quiet, maybe a game that they can play with some friends, just whatever you feel like is good for your kids. Yeah, you can definitely do that. I just wanted to touch upon that point that you mentioned about we mentioned, I don't know what, about moms in general, just that whole expectation and you said priority, memorization is not a priority for you right now, and it's just not something that you can do right now. But in general, when you're a mom, how everyone tells you taking care of your kids is an ibadah in itself. So I guess, like you said, maybe doing dhikr at that time, and just keeping in your head that even though you're not able to do the things that other people are doing, just the fact that you're taking care of your kids in this month is it in itself an ibadah. So just that it's not, I'm not saying that it's going to help. It doesn't, it's still in my head. It doesn't help the feelings that I have sometimes if I'm like, oh, I wish I could do this. But just to keep that reminder in yourself, within your mind, so that you're not always feeling so low about not being able to do a lot.
And look for the connection in the real sense, like, whatever you're struggling with, whatever it is that occupies you, because real life doesn't stop in Ramadan. You still have, whatever issues you're facing and stresses and everything, responsibilities, commitments, things you have to do, it doesn't stop. So, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help you through your day, like you would, give me ease, help me to make it through, make the kids behave, please God,
Yeah.
cover me today.
Yeah.
Those du'as, and being in the habit of talking to God, being in the habit of, just being present with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the realest sense. It doesn't have to be that fancy thing. And you don't have to recite in a certain way and sit down and have candles and be fair, being
Yeah.
connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it all counts. It all
Yeah.
counts, and He sees
Yeah.
you, that your heart is with Him, even though there's chaos ensuing, it still counts. It doesn't have to be in the mosque. It doesn't have to take this shape.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
still connecting with Allah Azza wa Jal, and
Yeah.
that matters. Coming to
Yeah.
the end of Ramadan and feeling like it was you and Him is more than, fancy abayas and every tarawih and the air conditioning
Yeah.
in the good spot. It's more than that. It's
Yeah,
more.
and you might also leave Ramadan. You might not have had a chance to do something every single day, but that one day you might have had that really, like, felt like you connected so well. You might have cried, you might have had tears or whatever. Like, you just felt that connection so deep. Like, then okay, alhamdulillah, like I had that one moment. And sometimes that could be enough. Allahu A'lam. I don't, I can't say, but just at least leave feeling like, you had that at least.
Yeah,
Amongst the other things that you're doing on a daily basis as well. So it is not easy, but inshallah, we can try to do the best that we can, right?
inshallah.
Yeah.
Inshallah.
Yeah. So I think we are at like an hour. I don't know if anyone else had more questions.
Really?
Yeah. You'll probably get the notification like a minute before, or 30
Okay.
seconds, not sure. You'll get a minute, like a notification, like, okay, you need to log off. But I think we covered all the questions. Inshallah, we'll try and do a summary of everything that we talked about. But yeah, I hope that this was beneficial, and we tried to answer as many or most of I think all the questions that we could, inshallah. Yeah. Anything that you want to add to close off?
Well, Barakallahu feekum for joining the live, and Jazakumullah khairan for your kind words, everyone. Those shouting out honest tea talks, Jazakumullah khairan for watching, and for following the live. If you guys have
What
questions,
is
you can
that?
feel free
I
to do
saw
them.
I saw comments about those tea talks. What is that?
Honest Tea Talk is a series.
Okay.
It's like a TV show that we started. It's a web series, so it airs on YouTube and Facebook. And it's
Oh,
myself and Layinka and Alia, and they are two NLP therapists, and we talk about all sorts of topics. So we aired 5 episodes. Yeah, check it out. It's interesting.
so far. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Thing. Right back at you,
I
inshallah.
mean, Hafsa. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining, and thank you so much, Sumayya. I know it's really late there. It's probably like what time is it? 9:30.
9:30. Yeah, it's okay.
Thank you so much, inshallah. And thank you to all those who joined. And inshallah, the live will be available for another 24 hours. If you came in late, I will do my best to save it. Inshallah, post a summary on the blog with like this, hopefully a recording of this video, inshallah, before Ramadan. Gonna try to do my best, but I just have a lot on, but I will do it, my best to do it. But yeah, inshallah. Thank you so much again, and inshallah, barakallahu fikum. Inshallah, we all have an amazing Ramadan.
Inshallah. Feekum barakallah. Assalamu alaikum, guys.
Assalamu alaikum.